Hey there. How is everybody today? Right now, just text or chat that you can hear me, all of you YouTubers. Just throw something in the chat to let me know you're here. Joey, can you hear me? This is the most important part of this entire thing. Before I get started, and you actually hear the words. Yay, sound. This is awesome because the last 3 weeks that I have shown up, I have started this stream and immediately gone into absolute silence. So welcome everybody to the Strategy Hacker live stream. I'm Shelly Palmer. I'm really glad you guys are here. Hey Joey, hey Larry, hey Michael Port, hey Guy, hey Mickey, hey Craig, Dan, how are you? David Shermans, how are you? Yeah, glad everybody's here. Not sure if Facebook is working. If you're on Facebook, let me know. That'd be great. And if you're on Periscope, it looks like we got a couple Periscopers. Twitter is working. You can use the hashtag you can use the hashtag Strategy Hacker, but also you can just send a tweet to @Shelly Palmer, and we'll see if we can get some of that working. Good afternoon, Scott Moss, and hey, Frank Quinn, how are you? So we have had a very busy week here at the Palmer Group. Many different things have been going on from a technological perspective. We have almost every client that we have has bailed on OBS, and only gamers and people who are personally streaming are using OBS now in my world. Everybody has switched to vMix, and I was reluctant to switch over to vMix because for this personal stuff, because I had so much stuff set up in OBS, Open Broadcast Studio. But I bit the bullet and I said, okay, we've got our industrial strength stuff on vMix. Let's go. We're going to go to vMix. So look, I see you can't see anything on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is sending data and I'm getting error messages back. So please join us over at shellypalmer.com/live. That'll take you to our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see us. Hopefully you'll be able to see what we're doing. So welcome everybody. I'm very happy you're here. Today we're going to talk about, all kinds of stuff. A lot of stuff in the news. It's very important to me that you use this chat not only to say hi to me, but ask whatever questions you have, and also to talk amongst yourselves. Hello, Carolyn Wall. YouTube is great. I'm glad to hear that. I was asked a couple questions about how this social pop-up is happening in the lower left-hand side of my screen. And we will get to that today. It's no matter what you're using, whether you're using OBS or OBS Studio or Slobs, the Streamlabs product, Streamlabs OBS, or if you're using vMix, no matter what tool you're using, it takes a second to make that happen. It's worth knowing how to do. It may work for you. So we will go over that for sure. I think just if you are having trouble seeing on LinkedIn, and I can see that there's a data problem there. In fact, I'm looking at it pretty closely. The meters are looking terrible for LinkedIn. I don't know why their LinkedIn Live product has so much trouble. Everybody can join us on YouTube. shellypalmer.com/live is the easy, quick way to get to our YouTube channel, and you can just jump right on that, and that'll work out fine for you, and you'll be able to join the chat, which I hope you will do, and you will also be able to see us better, the better to see us with. Most of you who I know who are watching are PGX members, pgx.tech. That's our private social network. You're all invited. You can go to pgx.tech. I put a link in the description. Oh, you can tell me right now, YouTube watchers, in the description, hey, Dean Jansen, how are you? I don't think the stream is working on LinkedIn. I think that you will need to come to see us at YouTube Live, which is at shellypalmer.com/live. You can tell me if in the description of this video you are seeing links, because I tried to update that description across the board using a giant tool, and I'm not sure that this aggregated script worked or not. So if the aggregated script did work, you should see a description with some links in it, including one to PGX. So I hope you can see that. I'm getting a little bit of work here. Yeah, okay. Because powered by Restream. Excellent. That little Python script did its job. You can email me, Shelly at shellypalmer.com, or DM me at Shelly Palmer on Twitter. I hope you'll do that. We'd like to see some social today if you can. I would really enjoy having... oh, wow, look at all this. I'd really enjoy having you guys throw some stuff into Twitter. It would be fantastic. It would truly be fantastic. If you don't know about them... Hello, Kathy Aronson. Hello, Ken. How are you? Ken Weisman. Good to see you. Everybody can check in from where you are also. That's always a great thing to do, is love to find out where everybody is located today, because we do have a kind of a spread out crowd, a big international crowd. If you are, many of you I know, join us every weekday, Mondays through Thursdays at our networking salons at 11:05 and 11:35. It's 20 minutes of water cooler conversation on a bunch of topics. You can visit shellypalmer.com/salons, and that's where you will find all kinds of big stuff. Hello, Pete Levin. Glad you're on Facebook. Want to have a better experience? You will have it at YouTube Live. So shellypalmer.com/live, or just head over to my YouTube channel. It's super fun there, but I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad to see you. So thank you for joining. Hello, Elliot Klein, and from Miami, Florida. Outstanding. Chris Meyer from Las Vegas. Yeah, you got a big shout out from me this morning. I did a keynote at ECEF, which is a convention of convention people. It's executives who are in the trade show business. And I showed you an awful lot of love, Chris Meyer. Hopefully that got back to you. So if you can join us on our networking salons, that'd be outstanding. Hey, Alicia Schwab. It would be awesome if you could do that. You'll meet some people, you bump into old friends, you'll meet some new friends, you can learn a little, you can teach a little. It's a lot of fun. And it has been just a wonderful experience every day to, basically see people. And Guy, yeah, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Welcome. If you would like, there's a bunch of downloads, a bunch of free downloads. We're going to talk today about decision matrices. We're going to talk about how to avoid making poor business decisions. It's a bunch of free downloads and a bunch of courses at courses.shellypalmer.com in marketing and media and entertainment. And I hope you will take advantage of some of the free downloads there. And there's some courses there you can sign up for also if you're interested. As you know, Joey keeps the trains on the tracks here at shellypalmer.com at the Palmer Group, and he has taken it upon himself to build the store.shellypalmer.com. There's two collections there. The Strategy Hacker collection, where you can buy hats and t-shirts and mugs and craziness that are all Strategy Hacker. They're not Shelly Palmer branded because that's not the important part. The important part is that you're a strategy hacker. So this is about you being able to just be a strategy hacker and have some fun with that hashtag. The merchandise is pretty nice. It's a little expensive, to tell you the truth, the way we're doing it, but it's pretty high quality stuff, and we're adding more crazy stuff, and I will show you the Zoom fail collection a little bit later today, which is super fun. And on that note, the Strategy Hacker hashtag is the hashtag of choice if you're going to do it. Like I said, we're going to get to how you make the little bouncy things, my social media pop-ups. If you are on YouTube and you'd be kind enough to subscribe, if you haven't already subscribed, that would be awesome. I'd appreciate it very much. Don Levine, welcome. Yeah, let's stay healthy and safe. Glad you're here from Westbury, New York. A lot of stuff going on today. I will start with my little bit of a rant because I got my iPhone 12 Pro Max this week, and here is this is it, the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Super fun. I'm getting a bunch of stuff here. It's beautiful. It's got a very big camera. It's pretty much, oops, I've done something evil there. This is the 11 Pro Max that it replaced. So if you put them together and you hold them up and you turn them over, you almost can't see the top of the 12 Pro Max on that. They are so similar in size. They are the same width. The difference is that this guy this is the 11 Pro Max. It's rounded, and it feels pretty good in your hand. They both obviously run iOS 14. They both have 14.2 on them. This is sort of smooth, and you can't one-hand this thing. You've never been able to one-hand it. It's definitely a two-handed device. There's no question about it. But this guy, the new one, this is squared off. And hi, Seth Shapiro. It's crazy. It feels okay, maybe it's that it's just like strange in my hand. I'm going to put the case on it now that I've shown you the size difference, because I really don't like holding it without the case. But the case has this little ring in there for their MagSafe adapter, and this is the part that I'm about. Hey, buddy, Seth Shapiro, good to see you. This is the part that I'm going to be really pissed about right now. So, as you can see, my let's see if I can get myself in here if I can. So right here, this guy is sitting in my upright Samsung Qi charger. This Qi charger is a 7.5 watt Samsung fast charger. It's like $75 about 3 years ago. This thing charges immediately. And what I like to do is, you can see this is my desktop. What I like to do is leave my phone there, so when alerts come up all day or text messages come up that are personal, hey Jeff Ratner, then and hey Aldo, how are you? Then I can just look down at my phone. This is my practice. I don't know if other people do that, but I've been doing this for years, and it's wireless, so that's fun. I pick it up and throw it in my pocket when I go. So let's talk about the iPhone 12 Pro Max. It's gonna make a little noise. There it goes. It's actually saying it's charging right now. Fun for the whole family. There's only one problem. It's not actually charging. It won't charge this way. It won't charge this way. It won't charge upside down. It won't charge in this wireless charger. So this is a 7.5 watt Qi charger. The Belkin that's only available at apple.com is also 7.5 watts, also a fast charger, also Qi compatible. That Qi is spelled QI. I have at least 10 of these. There's one on my nightstand. My wife has the same phone. She's got one on her nightstand. There's one in the kitchen, so you just throw your phone on there to charge. Nothing. Her phone, my phone, no, any charger in the house. The ones that are flat pad, nothing. The ones that are upright, nothing. I just ordered the Apple version. The Belkin that I wanted to get or got is only available at Apple. $59.95 for the stand-up Belkin version. I don't know. When I talked to my friends at Apple about this, and I was plenty pissed. When I talked to my friends at Apple about this, what I basically heard, yeah, it was just total crickets. Like, there was nothing. I got nothing from these guys. So that's my first pet peeve with my iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now, talking more about this thing. Oh, there's Me and Me. I'm so excited to have Me and Me. Talking more about this phone, what's crazy about it is that they said that this camera was the next coming of the Lord, this guy here. And you can see that the camera module itself is significantly bigger on the 12 Pro Max than it is on the 11 Pro Max. In fact, the sensor is still just 12 megapixels, but they've increased the amount of light that's falling on the sensor, and they increased the size of the sensor. And this is fascinating to me, because the whole point of Apple's shtick about this, and by the way, it makes sense from a physics perspective. Bigger sensor, bigger lenses, so more light is going to fall incident on the sensor. You're going to have better low light pictures. You're going to have better pictures in general. So the Pro Max, the top of the line, theoretically, at least on paper from the specs, should be mind-blowingly good. Like, that's what it should be, just mind-blowingly good. So, the long story short, it isn't. In fact, it's almost indistinguishable from the 12 or the 12 mini, which are dual lens cameras. The telephoto here is the equivalent of a 65 millimeter lens. So one thing that you immediately notice about the phone is that on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, you have 0.5, which is wide angle, 1, which is the normal lens, and then 2, which would be their telephoto. Here, the defaults are 0.5 for the wide angle lens, 1 or real size for the normal lens, and then it goes to 2.5 on the telephoto, which is paying homage to the fact that you have an optical 65 millimeter lens on this camera, or in this camera, which is great. All things there are fantastic. Only problem is it doesn't make a difference. Not a demonstrable difference, not a noticeable difference. Take pictures with an 11 Pro Max, 12 Pro, 12 Pro Max, lay them up next to each other. Do it in low light, do it in medium light, do it at dusk, do it whenever you want to do it. You need to lay these pictures down next to one another to see the difference. You can see, if you know what to look for, if you're looking for highlights and shadows, if you understand the difference between hue and saturation and value and shade, if you have those terms in your head and you understand them, and for a living you spend time thinking about value, shade, hue, chroma, saturation, if that's what you do, then you're going to be, you're not going to see the difference of these cameras at all. You just aren't. And if you do it, then you're not going to see it. I don't think you will. And I've been looking at pictures since I was interning at a photo studio in college. I've been looking at pictures critically, where I learned to really spend some time in dark rooms making images. I'm telling you, you need to look with a critical eye to see the difference. So critical that it's not worth it. So if you're thinking about buying this because the camera is going to be awesome, stop. That's not a thing. If you have wireless chargers all over the house, and I do, I probably have the value of this phone, I probably have 50% of it in chargers that need to be replaced. So this phone's like $1,100-$1,200. I easily have $400 in chargers around the house that aren't going to work with this phone. Or my wife's phone now. She's not happy. Trust me. She uses it as a, she puts it in landscape mode, and she has a clock app she uses at night. She puts it on a night table and uses it like an alarm clock. Only it doesn't charge. She's not happy. And you know that old happy wife, happy life. Unhappy wife, hell to pay. Especially since we just redid this. And there was no reason. The 11 Pro Max runs iOS 14.2 the same way this does. There are a couple of features on this phone that you might care about, but nothing that would make you buy it. So the short answer is the camera ain't doing it. The charger is 50-50. Some people have the problem. Some people don't have the problem. I was on television the other day. I talked this up, and I got about 50% of the response was, I haven't had a problem. And the other 50% was, oh my God, what's Apple going to do about it? So the jury is not out for me on this phone. It's a flat no. It's a flat no. Now, yeah, Martin, good question about the video quality. So the phone itself shoots in 4K, as does the 11 Pro Max. I'm going to take a giant step back before I talk about video quality, Martin, and so forgive me, I'm going to get right back to it in 1 second. The one thing about the iPhone 12 is that in a few weeks, the release of, I guess it will be iOS 14.3, will include Apple Pro RAW as a photo format. Now, by a show of chat, how many of you shoot in RAW format with your regular cameras? Please just chat to me now about what camera you use and what format you shoot your stills in if you use a regular camera. If you don't know what RAW is, don't bother. And none of this is going to matter to you. But if you do shoot a lot of pictures in RAW, you know that the amount of processing you can do after the fact is spectacular. You can put your photos in Lightroom or a similar product, and you can just have at it. The RAW file allows you to do all kinds of stuff with post-production. I'll leave it there, not to get too technical, because this doesn't look like a super technical group based on what you guys are chatting back to me. But I'd love to hear about, Nikon D500, Lisa Schwab, that's it. Good camera. And you can tell me a little bit about what you do in RAW. Jeff Ratner, very rarely. Scott Moss, RAW Nikon D610. Yeah. So if you guys are shooting in RAW, Apple Pro RAW, which I've had a chance to play with, is absolutely spectacular. Yeah, on your DSLR, yeah, Canon 20D for sure. RAW only. That's the way you should shoot, right? Anybody who's shooting anything that's a real camera, the better mirrorless cameras, any of the Nikon or Canon DSLRs, or even the new mirrorless cameras, you should be shooting in RAW all the time. This is going to be a big plus. Now, will it take advantage of the better, and I'm saying this tongue firmly in cheek, will it take advantage of the better camera in the iPhone 12 Pro Max? I don't know whether it will or not. And the minute that I get the real release of Apple Pro RAW that you would get, that everybody would get, not the demo version that I had a couple weeks ago, but the actual version that's going to ship with the camera, we'll run a set of tests, and I'll actually put the pictures up, because that could really mean something. Now, Martin, your video question. The problem with video across the board is unless you have the capacity to move the images, your video files from your phone to something else, the video capacity of the phone exceeds almost everybody's ability to move their files around. So if you've got workflow to pull an Apple ProRes file off your phone, or if you've got the ability to pull a 4K file off your phone and put it somewhere, the phone shoots in 4K. The lens package on the Pro Max versus the 11 Pro Max, again, it should make a difference. It hasn't. The sensor size probably won't make a difference in video any more than it makes a difference in still photography. And the only place it would have made a difference is in very low light, because again, the idea is that incident light falls on a bigger sensor through a bigger lens. It collects more light, and therefore you can have a better image. But Sony A7 Mark II, is that what you got, Nicole? The new A7s are insane. Have you guys seen the 7th S3? Mirrorless S, I think it's called the S3. I just got a spec sheet on it the other day. It's about $4,000 for the back. No, it was with the lens. It was about $2,800 and another couple of grand for the lens I wanted. I was very excited about it. It's a little too much camera for webcamming, but it is certainly the kind of camera you'd want to take out and do video with, especially with a really nice 16 millimeter lens. This lens that I have on this camera, which is this is a Sony 16 millimeter wide angle lens. You can almost hold it, right? I mean, this is at arm's length. You can actually hold this camera and walk with it. This is like YouTube selfie mode. That's a super fun camera, and I can imagine great 4K work with the new Sony mirrorless. But with respect to the iPhone 12 and video, your issue is going to be workflow. It's been the issue with every camera. How many of you, by show of chat, have been lucky with your moving of giant video files, or you take a 10-minute video of your kid's soccer match or whatever? How many of you have had the ability to easily move those files off of your iPhone into something, edit it, make something out of it, and bring it back? And if so, what do you do about it? Yeah, Jim Thomas, thanks. The view on camera 2. Funny, I've been working on this for a little bit. The camera 2 view here, it's a fixed position, and I can actually show it to you. I get my Epicam thing going here for you, and maybe pull the Epicam up. So this is the iPhone camera. So what I did is I mounted this thing on a monitor arm, and I threw my teleprompter on it, which is kind of cool. And I'm actually using a Samsung phone to feed the teleprompter. I got a little monitor underneath it, so I can do zoom going this way if I want to. Place is still a god awful mess because I've only been back here in New York for a couple of days, and I haven't really had time. And then over here you've got this is the Windows box we're streaming on, Samsung monitor, my Genelex, and the monitors in the back are the other computers that I'm using for streaming when I have to do more powerful stuff than we're doing today for clients. We have to be able to have separate computers for Zoom, separate computers to stream. So you need a lot of firepower. You need a lot of horsepower. On my Android, takes so long, to transfer for editing. Of course it does, Gary. It just does. It's really, really hard to do. Sony A7 III as well. Incredible looking camera, and it does great work. But again, the iPhone, they show this incredible commercial where they're shooting these movies on an iPhone. You can do that. Don't ever think for a second you can't. You make unbelievable images with an iPhone. The problem is getting the stuff, and working with it. That's really hard to do. That's just really hard to do. All right, so no upload file size of video onto my Windows PC. Always pauses and rarely can transfer. Martin, that's right. Yeah, I have that too. Any questions that any of you have about Apple products or video or audio, please throw it in the chat. I'm totally happy to have you ask me some questions. And again, if you are thinking about it right now, you can run over to shellypalmer.com/salons and sign up you'll get credentials for any of our daily salons. It's Wednesday, so tomorrow we have 2 interesting ones, AdTech, MarTech, and I'm forgetting what the other one is tomorrow. AdTech, MarTech, and something else super spectacular and fascinating, which I'm now going to have to look up because I'm feeling silly for having promoted it and not actually remembering which ones are tomorrow. I know AdTech and MarTech are tomorrow for sure, advertising and marketing tech. And what else is tomorrow? Let's see. Tomorrow is also, it's media and entertainment tech and ad tech and MarTech, advertising and marketing technology. So we're having both of those salons tomorrow. So yeah, you can just come on by and meet some new people. I think you'll have a lot of fun if you do it. If you're thinking about it, we have a daily newsletter at shellypalmer.com. It goes out to zillions of people. I'm actually always surprised at how many people are on the mailing list. And thanks, David Sharmatz. Yeah, media, thank you. You just go to shellypalmer.com and scroll to the bottom, hit subscribe. It's free. We put out, I rant every day basically about something because I'm a guy who likes to rant about something. And once a week we do a thought leadership piece, or I do a thought leadership piece. You can transfer to G Drive, and if you've got a lot of to a G Drive, definitely. And if you mean the G-Tech drives that are here, or the G drives that I have over there, or Google Drive, any of those work. It just takes time. I mean, it just takes time to do. And then there's a workflow issue. You got to move around 4K files, and you have a bigger problem, which is once you've got them, you have to decide what you're going to do with them. If you're just putting them on YouTube, that's fantastic. But if you're going to move them around, it's hard for people to get them. So you end up down converting. I always think you should shoot in the highest possible resolution because that's just smart. Why would you shoot in something less than the best you can shoot in? But at a certain point, you have to decide where your workflow is going to be. If you're using Adobe Premiere or you're using Final Cut, Premiere may be a little bit more of a pro-end product than Final Cut. If you're editing on an Avid and you have Fiber Channel and you have a lot of drives that can handle the kind of workflow that 4K requires, sure. But if you're going to cut your stuff on Final Cut or in the Windows thing that comes with Windows, you're playing with fire from a file size perspective. If you're in Premiere, you can get it done. If you've got good, solid discipline about your workflow and your external drives, your internal drives, a ton of RAM, a couple SSD drives so that you have your swap files and your render files can work in a decent way, then you can work in 4K very easily. You just have to commit to it. And for most people who are not going to then professionally put their product out into the marketplace, the strategy there is ridiculous. It's like, why are you... It's like driving an Indy 500 race car to the supermarket. Yeah, it'll get you there, but is that really the right tool for the job? You're shooting on an iPhone, shoot in 2K. Don't worry about it. I mean, literally, don't worry about it. Your kid's high school graduation needs to be in 4K. Okay, if it does, shoot it in 4K. And then put up with the pain of trying to move that file around. I could understand that's a life event. You're shooting in a bar tomorrow night, and you're going to say to me, well, I don't know what, I may get the best piece of video in my life that I ever had, and I may need to save it. It's like, yeah, I can argue both ways. I'm simply saying for the average human being who's not ever going to do anything more than post this stuff on Facebook or to social media, put it in a family album, I defy most people to actually organize their videos and their stills. I know very few people who have well cataloged or well documented their stills and their videos. Mostly they're all over the place. Some in Facebook, some in Dropbox camera uploads, some in Google Drive, some in Amazon Photos. And I'm always impressed when someone's got their favorites folder together, let alone the rest of it. So just my 2 cents on that. Workflow first, workflow first, workflow first. I want to talk today because we are doing Strategy Hacker Live. Is there any more technology questions about the iPhone and or video? Does anybody, love to talk about right to repair one of these days. My Mac Pro fried itself. They want $800 to replace the entire board versus $1 for a blown capacitor. What a great subject, Jeff Ratner. Take a second to talk about that. It's such a great subject. Who remembers TechServe? Anybody? You can just, in chat, give us a yay TechServe, or I went to TechServe, or tell your TechServe story. If you live in Manhattan, that it was ye old Mac store. It was like going to church or temple. If you were in New York, you went to 23rd Street and you went to TechServe. If you were any kind of geek, any respectable geek, you went to TechServe. And they were before Apple really got in the business of their retail stores. And now, of course, they have the most popular retail stores in the world. But before Apple got into that business, they were distributed through the normal channels and TechServe, this specialty store. Spectacular. Lisa Schwab, you want to join multiple salons? Send a note to joey@shellypalmer.com and Joey will hook you up. Don't worry about it. Anyway, every time you wanted to buy a Mac, your Mac broke, you needed something, it was just an excuse to go to TechServe. And what used to happen, if you remember TechServe, they had 5-cent Coca-Colas, which I didn't need to drink, but I really liked, in the old bottles of this machine. It's really amazing. And then there was like perimeter seating where these kind of like school chairs, and you'd sit around and you'd wait for your bakery number to be called so that you could go see the technicians. And around the top, they had there was like a shelf with 1984 Macs around the entire perimeter. It was fantastic. And you'd always run into people you knew from the business, all the editors and producers and a lot of the creatives and all the art directors and Mac people, back in the day when there was a Mac person, Mac people hung out at TechServe. It was really cool. Mac books, fast forward many, many years, MacBooks and MacBook Pros started to be made out of aluminum. And then they went to the unibody design. Now, on the right to repair subject, unibody is fascinating. First of all, in order to fit the stuff into the unibody, this piece of aluminum that they milled with a milling machine to hollow it out so it could hold the guts of the MacBook, they needed to do multi-layer circuit cards, and there were circuits on both sides of the circuit boards, which is pretty hardcore to begin with. To open a MacBook or MacBook Pro unibody, and this goes back years now, you needed a special device. You can't take a screwdriver and whack that in there. That ship sailed. The devices became unibody, and they required jigs to open, operate on, and close. These jigs were thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, and in some cases more. And you can't run a repair shop with just one of these or two of these because there were multiple models, so you needed a whole bunch. What Apple did, right to repair or not, is make it prohibitively expensive for a third-party repair shop to own enough specialized equipment to fix the units. From the test harnesses that you needed, the independent test harnesses, which you could probably get away with one of each, no matter how big your store was, your shop was. But I went to the back of TechServe about a year before they closed, and they were struggling mightily with just the financial burden of being independent of Apple and having to own the test harnesses and the jigs to pull these devices apart and put them back together. So then the right to repair comes up, and for those of you who don't know, right to repair is this movement, and a good one, I think. If you open up your car hood, you can put in, I think, washer fluid, transmission fluid, and oil from the top, and everything else you really can't service. It doesn't have a carburetor. It doesn't have like everything's fuel injection nowadays. They plug the car into a ODBC2 connector, onboard data connector 2, OBDC2, and the computer reads the car. The car is a computer. The car talks to another computer. It decides what's wrong with it. They run diagnostics, and then some of it's done in software and some of it's done with special test harnesses. But even that is almost outside the capability set of an average garage mechanic that where I grew up, where anybody at any filling station could change your transmission, oh wow, I'm getting a call, could change your transmission, could do anything. And so it to me, right to repair is fascinating because it's become technologically impossible. Like if you open up a MacBook Pro, if you're dumb enough to do that, there isn't really a user serviceable part inside. You don't have the test harness. If they gave you the schematic, there'd be very little you could do. So what should they do? And I'm very interested to hear your thoughts because I think this is a good debatable question. Should they be forced to make their devices so that other people can repair them? What part of what's inside of a MacBook Pro is proprietary? What part should they allow to be reverse engineered? Because if you open it up, you can reverse engineer anything. What part do they need to kind of keep to themselves? What should you be allowed to change? What should they warranty and for how long? There is a Apple graveyard in the closet next to me, and I do mean graveyard. I don't mean small cemetery. I don't mean quaint little box of Apple parts. There's at least 25 expired Apple computers. As a matter of fact, I have so many expired Apple computers, I don't have room to place them all. They're everywhere. Let's see if I can give you a, like, you guys see that? I don't know if you can. That's like Mac Towers from the beginning of time. It's like they're under the desk. I mean, they're everywhere here. They're literally everywhere. So, yeah, I mean, can I repair them? Some of them are reparable. Some of them are here because I run software that only runs on the pre-Mac OS vintage operating systems and must absolutely have those computers here. I still have over 45, let me look at this list, 47 hard drives that may have software on them that is yet to be transferred to our network attached storage, cold storage, local cold storage. And I don't know whether it will run or not. Last week I asked you guys how many of you knew that the firm eMagic and the program eMagic, which is the predecessor to Logic Pro, which is what Apple sells now as their music software. If you find a Logic file that's with eMagic metadata in it, and I do because I've written thousands of pieces of music and many, many hundreds of them, their original files were written when Logic was still an Apple skin over the eMagic product. Only one of those computers will open that file. You can't open it on a modern computer. There's no emulator. There's no way to emulate what that is. So that's what those are there for. Will I throw them out? For anyone else, they're dumpster fodder. The only reason they're here is because there are SCSI drives from 1998, 2002, 2003 that just can't be read by anything else. So, yeah, right to repair. It's a big issue. I've got my daughter Alexis brought back a 13-inch Mac Pro that's like a year and a half old, and she said it sparked and died. And I tried to turn it on, and it had that I've burnt my innards kind of smell to it. It's like, wow, I'd never heard of a Mac spontaneously combusting. I would love to open this computer and fix it, but I think I'll just take it, because it's still under Apple care, to the Genius Bar and let the geniuses at Apple figure out why this thing sparked and smells like it had a small conflagration under the hood. Anybody else got some more questions? I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, we're going to move on to some of the other stuff I wanted to cover today. There was some other stuff in the news. Let's go look at the news for a second. There's some other stuff in the news. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Like, I just spent all this time bashing Apple. And then I saw this morning. And I don't know if any of you care about it, but this came across my desk from Engadget. AirPods Pro, they were, instead of $249, they were $190 on Woot this morning. They were actually there. And it was like, I thought, that's cool. So I don't know if you guys care about that. But if you do, I thought that was cool. I wrote an article earlier in the week. I don't know if you have seen what's going on or if you've experienced this. Alexa's getting a lot more talkative. She, and I call her a she because I have my Amazon Echoes all set up to be have female British accents. I've got like a Miss Moneypenny thing going on, which is kind of funny. Oh, wow. AirPods Pro is going to be $169 on Black Friday. Joey, that's important. Thank you for bringing that up. I did not know that. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. This is from Joey. Joey's basically saying that AirPods Pro $169 on Black Friday. So that's super great. Thank you for sharing that. I did not know. And I thought $190 was a good price, which, you know, up until 10 seconds ago that was. So, yeah, thank you, Joey. Yeah, so Alexa's getting super, super talkative. And I don't know if you've had this experience. How many of you have said something to it and had it keep talking and recommend stuff to you after you were done? Like, Alexa, temperature. And then...
Right now,
oh,
35 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, expect a low of 30 degrees.
that's blessedly simple. Generally, she's been much more talkative, specifically recommending things I should buy from Amazon. I don't know if any of you have had that experience, but I have. And this article was more about, much more about what she's going to be able to do now, which is this concept of, let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you. They had a blog out, and the blog said that it's Alexa's getting better at predicting customers' goals. But I want to remind you, and that's what I wrote here, the Turing test is not for machines to pass, it's for humans to fail. So if you ask Alexa, the example they gave was, Alexa, how long does it take to steep tea?
Here is what I found. It is recommended to steep tea for 30 seconds to 1 minute on high power. Was that helpful?
And so now she's supposed to be able to give you additional recommendations about what you might want to do, and then ultimately buying that. So I'm not sure that's good or bad, but it's just where we are in the state of the universe right now. I'm going to give you guys a choice.
Thanks for your feedback.
Thank you, Alexa. You're such a pleasure. And her British accent just went away, which is really strange, because this morning I had Miss Moneypenny, and now I've got an all-American female. All of which is, of course, anthropomorphizing something that shouldn't be. It's an AI model that's actually starting to piss me off pretty seriously. Although I'm a little addicted. How many of you, by show of chat vote, are interested in understanding the social pop-ups versus talking about decision matrices and making better business decisions? We've got about 15 minutes left, and I'm happy to talk about either one, but I don't think we'll have time to talk about both. So, yeah, they did enable short reply mode, Jed Weinberg. They did, and Weintraub, sorry. And it is important to be able to do that, because it's messy. Especially at night, I found, and when I get messages now, the yellow light on the Echo almost always is followed by a sales recommendation, which is very unfortunate. All right, business side wins. We're getting a business side. So the conversation we're going to have is some tips for avoiding poor management decisions. Yeah, that's the acknowledgement tone, Jed. I actually love it. What I don't like, if they want to make the model, if they actually want to make the model work a little bit better, the model I'd like them to do is when you're setting an alarm at night and you need to talk to the Echo, you want it to not have to do the following. Alexa, volume 1. Alexa, set alarm for 7 a.m. Alexa, volume 10. Like, you'd rather not have to do that. It should just...
Alarm set for 7 a.m. tomorrow.
Alexa, cancel alarm. The
7 a.m. alarm canceled.
The volume management in a bedroom at night, if your spouse or significant other is sleeping and the thing you have it loud enough to wake you in the morning, they could be using AI for a lot more good stuff. All right, so here we're into our 6 tips for avoiding poor management decisions. And this is part of a series we're working on about making decisions in general. So I'm going to just bang out the 6 tips real quick, and I'd like you to ask whatever questions you have, and I'd certainly love you to put whatever experiences you've had that back this up. And if you've got better suggestions, I'll take them. Jed, I didn't mean to set your Amazon device for 7 a.m. My apologies. It should do better voice recognition, which it still doesn't. So, number 1. Oh, by the way, the decision matrix that I'm talking about is available at courses.shellypalmer.com. It's free, and it's at the bottom of the courseware. It's just a free download. You can go there. It's a little Excel template that just lays out how we do weighted decisions, and we can talk a little bit about that if we have time. This is my first number 1, no kidding, absolutely thing. It's the blue disco ball story that I told last week. You got to tell your team what you're trying to accomplish. You cannot tell your team how to accomplish it. If you do that, you're begging to just spend more money and take more time. Hire the best and let them work. Pete Levin is one of the most gifted musicians in the world, and he is a gifted orchestrator. He's here. I saw him on the chat earlier. And when I went to London with Pete 25 years ago to do some orchestral recording, we had a cello part that required what's known as a double stop, and it was replicated in the violin part as well. And on cello it was easily doable, but on violin it was really apparently very hard, according to the string contractor who we brought in to just go over the parts with us before we left for London. And Pete said to me, probably some of the best management advice I'd ever received, is when you get to London, don't tell them to do this. I'm going to not put it in, but it's going to be very obvious to the string players that it's needed. Ask the concertmaster if it's possible. I really wish this was going to sound this way, but I don't even know if it's possible. Is it possible? And I did exactly that from the podium, and exactly what happened, what Pete thought would happen, did happen. The concert mistress, Marcia Crayford, an incredible violinist, was like, oh, that's really hard. And they all thought about it for a second. They went, yeah, we can do it. So it went from an impossible situation that no normal musician could play to something that they figured out how to do. But we didn't tell them to do it because it really wasn't necessarily even possible. And we didn't know if it was going to sound that great. So not only did we ask if it was possible, we asked if it would sound good. They became part of this process. They were all invested now in this particular passage sounding amazing, and the outcome was incredible. And the Blue Disco Ball story is about that, and you can read that here at shellypalmer.com. My number 1 tip in the world, no matter what, is don't tell anybody what to do. Tell them what you need to get done, and let them help you. Yeah, Pete, big smiles back at you too. By the way, support live music. Go find PeteLevin.com. Go listen to Pete play. Pete and his brother Tony. You have not heard jazz like this played by anyone, and every live musician needs your support right now. Every single one. seek out diverse opinions, avoid echo chambers and sycophants and yes people. I don't think I need to say any more about that, but I'm going to. Diversity is a supercharged word. I know that everybody has their own, they bring, as my daughter would say, big feelings to that word. Take a giant step back and go to the dictionary definition of diversity. Young people do technology differently than old people. People that live out in the suburbs are different than the city dwellers, are different from the rural. Like, the more diverse, not only backgrounds, not only ethnicity, not only race, like just literally something as simple as having a millennial in the room or a Gen Zer in the room when you're talking about something for Gen Z or millennials. It's going to help you. The more diverse, the better. You don't have to listen to everybody you have to act on what they say. They're not all experts, but you need to gather the data and you need to hear other points of view. The more diverse the room is, the better you're going to be. Gather as much data as you can and take the time to consider it. This is not self-explanatory. What you think you know from your being a focus group of one isn't going to help you. It's just not. And so don't do that. Gather all the information you possibly can. You need it. And you also need to take time to carefully consider the data. Not just read it over super quick. You need to literally go into it. Information is not knowledge. You need to turn that data into knowledge, and you need to pull insights from it. One of my favorite books is Thinking Fast and Slow by Danny Kahneman, and he talks about his work with Amos Tversky. These two guys basically invented behavioral economics. Amazing individuals. The book is incredible. There are a lot of books that have been written about that book. In there's an experiment they talk about. A bat and a ball cost $1.10 in total. The bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much did the ball cost? If you answer that question super fast, about 50% of the people are going to say 10 cents. It's just patently wrong if you just take 1 second to think about it. It's that level of snap judgment where you're just going over and saying, oh, I get it. How many hidden pieces of data, how many insights will trip you up in wording because you're just not spending the time to think through what you're reading, what you're looking at. So gather as much data as you can and carefully consider what it is that you're going to use that data for when you go to make your decisions. The best leaders I deal with, period, are share one common capability, one common attribute, which is apathy and empathy. Empathy. They all can put themselves in other people's shoes brilliantly. This level of empathetic thinking, they almost intrinsically know how someone else is going to feel when this decision is done. And more importantly, almost every leader I know is particularly good at understanding they have a biased worldview of their own. So they're empathetic to others, and they are well aware, self-aware of their own worldview biases. They were brought up a certain way. They live a certain life. Not everyone can do this. It's hard to do because you really, I think this might be a nature versus nurture conversation at this point. I don't know that everybody's even capable of being empathetic. I struggle with it every day. My EQ is not as good as it could be. If someone says to me, what is your worst trait? It's probably understanding how other people are feeling all of the time around me and reacting to that well. It's just something I work on. It's something everybody should work on. Some people are great at it. I'm not, so I know it's something I have to deal with. To avoid making a poor management decision, I will always take that into consideration and make sure that I think it through harder than I normally would, because I know it's something I would ordinarily miss on a personal level. Identify alternatives. This is super simple and super obvious, but I bet it's not that obvious. It is 5 years from today. Your project has miserably failed. What happened and why? Argue it. I'll tell you why we blew this up. Blah, 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 blah. Write down the failure right now. Then when you're all done with that, go the other way. This was an unbelievable success. Let me tell you why. And post-mortem it as if it was great. and then do the thing that I didn't write in the blog that you really need to do, which is, why didn't you kill this project when it was on the margin? Well, it was just good enough where, we're out to the fourth decimal place. We're thinking that, like, maybe it's going to be good. Yeah. Why? Argue that good before you make the decision, because come back to bite you. Number 6 is my number one, most favorite, most important, absolute favorite thing to talk about with management teams. Great is the enemy of good. Not only is great the enemy of good, time is the enemy. George S. Patton said, a good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed at some indefinite time in the future. Now, look, business isn't war, and I don't like to use war analogies for business, but that is an amazing quote. So I like to say, a good plan well executed today is better than a great plan put off to next week. And Nike likes to say, just do it. I'm telling you, you want to avoid making a poor decision? Don't be so scared of failure that you avoid making a decision, because that's a decision too. It may actually be a bigger, worser decision than making a wrong one. So just make the wrong one and go. Mostly we don't live in life-threatening situations. Most of our decisions aren't life-threatening. We're talking about a couple percentage points of market share. You're talking about, did you save a couple dollars? Did you buy the right unit? Did you hire the right vendor? You'd like to get them right. You would. You want to get them right. But you don't need to angst over it. Not terribly anyway. So those are the 6 big tips for making better decisions. I don't know about great decisions, but making better decisions. And the decision matrix we'll go over in detail next week, so that we can fill out a decision matrix. Maybe we'll make some decisions here online and see if we can make good decisions together. You can, again, email me at Shelly@ShellyPalmer.com if you have any questions, or if you're having trouble finding a copy of the Decision Matrix. This is a blog post at ShellyPalmer.com. It should be very easy to find if you are interested in finding it. I promised I promised this, and I want to show it to you. So this is the latest, greatest, funnest part of our collection. It's the Zoom fail collection at the store. So this should have been an email, or can everyone please mute all of the crazy, silly stuff we've been doing. We've made pillows and hats and stickers and mugs and all kinds of other silly things. And we're going to, I think, coming into Christmas, we're just trying to put together some business swag that'll, make everybody smile a little bit. I think everyone could use a little bit of a laugh right now, and there's an awful lot going on. And I want to thank each and every one of you for spending time with me today. Again, if there are any questions you'd like to answer, either send me an email or put them in chat. Anything we can do better, anything that we can do to help you guys, you let us know. CES is around the corner. We are going to be doing a lot of interesting stuff this year at what used to be called the Consumer Electronics Show and is now just called CES. It'll be in January, in the middle of the month. We've got virtual tours that are not virtual, but they are an interesting combination of live and pre-record and Q&A and really good experiences to help you achieve your business objectives with respect to consumer behaviors. We're going to have a trend report this year, and we're going to have our Innovation Series Summit, which by default will be open to anybody who's got a web browser. It's going to be really fun to do. If you are interested in the tools and the techniques that we are using here at Strategy Hacker Livestream, vMix, the kit that we're using, the computers we're using, the workflow that we're using, the Gazintas and the Gazoutas, down to the RAM, the ROM, hard drives, solid state drives, the way that the workflow is working, you need only ask. We're very, very happy to share. There are any number of ways you can accomplish what we'd like to help you accomplish. We just have some favorite ways that are easy, simple, tested well, and we know work. So if we can help you with that, we can help you just be a little better at your job, make a little more money, be a little more valuable to your customers, let us help you do that. It would be our great pleasure. And with that, it's 3:59 and 37 seconds, and I will say thank you from the bottom of my heart to each and every one of you. I hope you stay safe. I hope your loved ones stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Have a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous week, folks. Take care.